has been a part of my life ever since I can remember. Some of my fondest childhood memories are growing up with my grandfather in his studio. My grandmother is an amazing artist as well, so it was just always this part of my life. I've had memories of going to art shows with him and being in the studio and just watching him create out of his mind and watching these magical things happen. And it was a release for me to be able to draw and be able to paint. I used to sit at my kitchen table for hours on end every single night, just drawing all kinds of stuff. It was like this endless imagination of this blank slate that I could do whatever I wanted to do. I had this obsession with anything two wheels, whether it was BMX, whether it was motocross, whether it was street bikes, road racing. I absolutely adored it. And I can remember sitting in this little living room in Cheyenne and watching Supercross for the first time and watching these guys just fly off these triples and banging bars. And it was like superheroes to me on dirt bikes. My grandparents used to take me to the track and let me ride around it, and it lit me on fire. It's just like all I wanted to do was build ramps with BMX bikes and just rip around and do wheelies down the block. It was amazing. And it was another sense of freedom of that once you're on that bike, you know, no one's messing with you. No one can tell you what to do and what not to do. And then I was very fortunate. My dad got me a dirt bike at a young age, taught me how to ride. And that was a whole different level of obsession. You know, once you put a motor to that whole principle, man, you could really go. So there's always this battle with trying to get what I have in my head out into reality. It all has to connect together to create this piece. The motor is very, very important. And finding these vintage motors, it's hard, it's rare, but it's also, like with a knuckle, it's a very unique part of a bike because it's so exposed. So once I find that and we get into the build process, the very first step of that is always the gas tank. The gas tank sets the design elements, it sets the flow, and it sets my mind off to know what I need to create next to have the bike be cohesive and make sense as one. Metal doesn't want to be shaped. It doesn't want to be manipulated. So I have to take what I have in my head and I have to force that metal into submission. And it's funny because at the end of the day, you want this beautiful, sexy, curved piece, but the process is smashing and it's beating and it's shrinking and it's stretching and it's welding, and I have to manipulate it as it fights me. And that struggle is something that I kind of love in a weird way. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't just let you have it. But at the end of the day, it's super rewarding when you have this idea that is obtainable. There was a lot of aspects of The Disciple that really made it special for me and what I wanted to show people. And you know, when I go into these bikes, there's all these little fine details that make it. You know, the air cleaner was a very special piece, the rear taillight. There's all these things trickled in, and all these parts make this bigger picture. But that motor, you know, a 1941 EL knucklehead motor is such a rare part of, you know, something that's not around anymore, but a part of our history in this country, in Harley, and these iconic motorcycles. And then you have this gas tank that was extremely hard for me to make. You know, it's mixed metals, it was a split tank design, so you're trying to match these two sides to make them perfect. You have to make a backbone hanger, they have to hang right, they have to have a crossover tube so the gas connects. It's so important to me that what I create is rideable, and that connection with that machine, that it functions, and that connection to be able to share that with another human being as well is even more powerful. You take all this time and this labor and this intensity creating it, and once you get it and it runs and you can go down the road with it, that enjoyment, that freedom is why I do it. What is a disciple? A disciple is a person that goes out and it spreads this message or the word of something that they believe in. This bike really embodies everything up to this point of my career and my life, and I really am happy that it's out there spreading the word of American Metal Customs and what we're able to do, the future of it, and what's coming next.